In Parliament, Nigel Farage delivered a passionate and well-reasoned speech, addressing the negligence of the two union parties. He strongly criticized them and put forward a proposal that sparked anger among many MPs. In today's video, we'll watch and react to his remarks, but first hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Take a look at this.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have to say, as an elected representative of a very young political party, I watched this game going on between the two old parties and find it difficult to conclude that it's anything other than a complete and utter charade. Whilst I agree with the Right Honourable Member from Witham, who made the argument this is British sovereign territory, there is nothing to be gained, literally nothing to be gained by giving it away, and I see the benches behind her cheering, but this was the party that went through, as we heard earlier, 11 rounds of negotiations. The Conservative government was happy to surrender the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, but didn't like the final shape of the deal. And then we go on to the government, who tell us this has to be done because of legal uncertainty. But of course, there is no legal uncertainty whatsoever. And you know, you can shake your heads if you want, but you know I'm right. The ICJ has no jurisdiction over this whatsoever. So why are we doing it? Well, I guess, of course, post-colonial guilt, a government run by human rights lawyers. Beyond that, I really don't understand it. But you know something? I made a comment earlier about the cost. I promise you, 90 million a year for 99 years with with 3% compounded inflation is £52 billion. That, of course, is madness. And members of this House have been saying, why are we not debating health or other issues? Well, 50 billion quid is a very good reason to debate this. I've tried in this House and elsewhere to make these arguments. I've explained that China already has a smart city right next to Port Louis. I've explained that Huawei are the communication system. You can see now, of course, that Prime Minister Modi is worried on missing out on the action. There is a 200-mile marine park which potentially has cobalt and other mineral resources that could be worth tens, perhaps even hundreds of billions of pounds over the next few years, and we're prepared to give it all away. And the timing of this debate's perfect, because the Prime Minister is mid-Atlantic as we speak. Now, I have spoken in the course of the last week to American cabinet ministers, and whilst they're concerned about Chagos, they're even more concerned about bringing an end to the war in Ukraine, which I think we're all very, very keen to see, provided that it's on the right terms. There is also going to be a big debate about tariffs. So here's the point. Chagos is not especially high on the American agenda at the moment. I would love to see the American administration veto this terrible deal. But I'm not even sure then that this government will move its position. They are clearly hell-bent on giving away the Chagos Islands, whatever the risks to global security, whatever the risks to our own budgetary constraints, and having ignored completely the will of the majority of the Chagosian people. If that's the case, I would rather see America have the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands than a corrupt Mauritius. Why don't we, if we're going to give this up, let's sell. Let's get a few billion quid for the Mauritius Islands, for the Chagos Islands. Mauritius has no legal basis, no legal claim, and you know what? Investment would come. The Chagosians could go back and get well-paid jobs. I want us to keep sovereignty, but if you're prepared to give away this country's interests, sell it to America, don't give it away to corrupt Mauritius.
Anna Geldod.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, the UK is facing a £22 billion black hole. We're told there's no money for tax cuts, public sector pay rises, or even fixing our roads. Yet when it comes to spending abroad, the cash suddenly appears. A major financial decision by the government is now raising serious concerns about national priorities. Some see it as a necessary move, but others are asking, is Britain once again putting foreign interests ahead of its own people? The UK government has just approved a £2.26 billion loan to Ukraine, supposedly to bolster its military against Russia. This decision, led by Chancellor Rachel Reeves, comes at a time when we're constantly told that the UK's finances are stretched thin. We hear about budget cuts, we hear about financial black holes. Yet when it comes to sending money overseas, the government somehow finds the funds. The loan was signed virtually between Reeves and Ukrainian Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko during President Zelensky's visit to Number 10. The government insists this loan will be repaid using profits from immobilized Russian assets. But let's be real, does anyone actually believe that? During his meeting with Zelensky, Keir Starmer was full of warm words, assuring the Ukrainian president, "You have full backing across the United Kingdom." He then described the loan as a sign of the UK's unwavering commitment to Ukraine. But at what cost? Taxes are at a 70-year high. Public services are crumbling. The government constantly talks about a £22 billion economic black hole. Yet, when it comes to foreign conflicts, the money is always there. This £2.26 billion commitment is one of the largest financial pledges Britain has made to Ukraine since the war began. Now, Rachel Reeves is pressuring other European nations to follow Britain's lead, implying that, once again, Britain is stepping up while others hesitate. Her justification? The world has changed, and we have to keep up. The importance of hard power and securing our defense is greater now than it has been for a long time. But is this really about Britain's defense, or is it about pouring billions into a foreign war while urgent domestic issues are ignored? We're told tax cuts are unaffordable. Nurses and police officers can't get a pay rise. Infrastructure remains in disrepair. Yet, billions for foreign wars? No problem. And the timing of this deal is interesting. Just 24 hours earlier, Zelensky had a much different reception in Washington. His meeting with Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly turned into a heated exchange. Unlike Starmer, Trump wasn't eager to hand over blank checks. Instead, he scolded Zelensky, saying, "You're gambling with millions of people. You're gambling with World War III." The contrast is staggering. While Britain hands over billions without hesitation, the U.S. demands accountability. So where is the £22 billion black hole now? This entire situation exposes a glaring double standard. No money for public sector pay, no money for tax cuts. Farmers and pensioners are squeezed. But when it comes to sending billions overseas, the money magically appears. Is this truly about defending democracy, or is Britain once again putting foreign interests before its own people? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this the right move or a financial disaster waiting to happen? And that wraps up today's video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe for more British content.